Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 10 million views.
More than 1,000 people subscribed to our YouTube channel in the last 30 days. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBTQ community.
There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, July 21st, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 10,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present Pride Fete in August, and we declare that love is in the air with Pride Fort Lauderdale on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader communities.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV live events, parade float design, production, and casting. A man of many talents. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, Save Generations is hosting a mixer. What's happening out?
Sure, Vaughn. Friday, July 25th, join Save Generations for a special sunset mixer. The event will be held on the Twisted Tonic rooftop at Lincoln Eatery in Miami Beach, starting at 6:30. Enjoy a complimentary welcome drink and happy hour specials as you mix and mingle with fellow change makers and the next generation of LGBTQ plus leadership. Don't miss this opportunity to learn more about how to get involved with over a dozen of South Florida's youth-oriented or led LGBTQ plus nonprofit organizations. So I think it's kind of exciting that we're looking to pass the baton. I know we've had many folks on our shows in the past talk about leadership and how important that is, and certainly developing and mentoring our youth or younger leaders up and coming is important. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, the opportunity to mix and mingle with fellow change makers and the next generation of LGBTQ plus leadership would be fun under ordinary circumstances, but it takes on even more significance when our very existence is at stake. So thank you, Save, for the work you do and for creating this event.
So many of our organizations are now doing mixers, and we're seeing that. I know with the Chamber we do those as well, Jason, and it's a great way for people to learn the organization and the people behind it. And I'm happy to see that continuing to happen in other areas versus just one organization.
Yeah, and then Save is such a great organization. Just the leadership of Save and then them emerging and training and developing my replacement. I mean, at the chamber, like it may come out of this group.
Right.
So, yeah, Marina, Christopher Babka, the whole Save team. This is a great, I'm excited to go. And then I saw some of the sponsors on there, Les Chick, the Miami-Dade LGBT Chamber. So it's backed by our community down there in Miami and all the way through the Carolinas, through the Florida. So good to go.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Save Generations Emerging Leaders Sunset Mixer at Twisted Tonic, July 25th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Jason Nunez. Jason Nunez is a trailblazing leader, passionate entrepreneur, and fierce advocate for equality. He is president and CEO of the Greater Fort Lauderdale LGBT Chamber of Commerce and as a third-generation minority Air Force veteran. He has served at the Pentagon, White House, State Department, and Department of Labor. Jason, the Lesbian Thespians are hosting a special fundraiser event. Tell me what's happening out.
Absolutely. So join the Lesbian Thespians for Seen and Heard, a fundraiser with Alice Gapsey. The event is being held Friday, July 25th, starting at 7 p.m. at Wilton Collective. Dance to the soulful sounds of acclaimed performer Alice Gapsey and bid on local art in a silent auction with proceeds supporting vital breast cancer research. You can find out how to get tickets on the Lesbian Thespian social media. So the event to support cancer is amazing in and of itself.
Right.
But then headlined by Alice Gapsey. She is a true member of our community, an advocate. I remember seeing her at the 2024 National LGBT Chamber of Commerce Summit. You know, our local talent making it to the national stage and then coming back to the roots and celebrating with us and sharing that with us. So kudos to the Lesbian Thespians, kudos to Alice Gapsey, and looking forward to hear all about this event.
Hands down, still the best name for a theater company that I've ever heard. Lesbian Thespians, it's brilliant.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Seen and Heard on July 25th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Gregg, there's a special run of a movie about Frida Kahlo starting soon. Tell me, what's happening now?
Savor Cinema is presenting the movie Frida, Viva la Vida, from July 25th to July 31st. The documentary, by director Giovanni Troillo, explores the two sides of Frida Kahlo's spirit. On one side, the revolutionary, pioneering artist of contemporary feminism, and on the other, the human being victim of her tortured body and a tormented relationship. Tickets are available at FLIFF.com. I think it's amazing that more than 70 years after her passing, young at age 47, bisexual icon and artist Frida Kahlo is still such a presence in our world, whether she's being portrayed by Salma Hayek or paid tribute in this documentary, Frida Viva la Vida, featuring actress and filmmaker Asia Argento. That's actually who we saw on screen. We will never forget Frida's contributions to this world.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. Absolutely. I love Savor Cinema too. Great place.
Space, yeah.
I know as an art student, I really appreciated her artwork. So it's amazing to me, you know, that you can still see it today. And just the way that she used artistry in her works was amazing for me.
It's not just the feminist side of her art. It's her heritage. It's, you know, everything about who she is. It is her sexuality. So from that perspective, it's important that we talk about her on a regular basis in the community and keep her where she is at the limelight.
Yeah, typically it's you hear a lot about Frida during Hispanic Heritage Month. Yeah,
Right.
September 15th through October 15th, with the movie portrayed by Selena, as well as the movie Selena, or Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek, yeah.
And then the movie Selena and all of those artists, but doing this, you know, not in a pocket of Hispanic Heritage Month. There's so much more to offer than just that part of it. So yeah, great event.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Frida Viva La Vida at Savor Cinema. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Buddy Frey. He supports many of South Florida's local nonprofit organizations like Julian's Fountain of Youth and the Stonewall National Library Museum. Buddy, Parenting with Pride is hosting a special event. Tell me, what's happening now?
And this is an important event, so let's go through this clearly. Parenting with Pride is hosting their second annual Parent Education Summit on July 19th at 10 a.m. Join parents, educators, and advocates for a day of learning, healing, and action. Discover your rights, gain practical tools for self-care and school advocacy, and hear from experts working on the front lines of education. The summit will feature workshops, community conversations, and an inspiring keynote speaker whose story will move and motivate. The event is being hosted on Zoom, and you must register to attend. Find out more at parentingwithpride.org. And I think this is very important. It's only the second year, but we really need to grow this as we're having more and more LGBTQ families, and we're, especially with the public education system being under attack, and anything with a LGBTQ label on it is, being blackballed or withheld or whatever. This is such an important program for parents in the community, and it's important. And I love the fact that it's on Zoom because it's not a cash flow issue. It's not a specific city in a specific spot. Right. It's something that we can publicize on a national basis. So I'm really excited about this.
And just I see a lot of this where more and more things are going to Zoom, which is a great thing, but people've got to register. You can't just show up at Zoom. You have to be able to register and get the email for the link, and otherwise you're going to get people calling you the day of going, how do I get in that? But they really register.
Yeah, this sounds like the kind of event that's needed now more than ever, like you were saying. And I would say I'm probably more obvious than a parent. Okay. I tried.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Parenting with Pride Parent Education Summit on July 29th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Vaughn Biggs. He is a community engagement and outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health, a vice chair of the Ryan White Part A Planning Council, and a board member of Trans Ed and Harmony Waves. Vaughn, Chocolate City is hosting a special open mic night on July 31st. Tell us what's happening out.
That's right, Larry. Join us for Chocolate City Talks, open mic night, a night of creativity, artistry, poetry, inspiration, and unapologetic truths. Hosted by Tonio Ellison and sponsored by Hotspots Happening Out. This is your chance to share your voice or simply soak in the powerful vibes. It's an event where everyone is welcome and every story matters. You can submit your talent at hotspots.click/open mic, and you can find out more on Chocolate City's Facebook. I went to the last one that Tonio did, and it was amazing because when I first got there, he's like, will you do something? And I was like, oh, no, I don't know. Maybe. And then I'm watching the monitors while I'm in there, and I'm seeing people that I know from the community that were up just either singing or reading a poem or reading an excerpt from a book. So, but by the time they got around, they had so many people that were out offering to sign up. So sign up ahead of time so you don't stress Tonio out. But it was a really fun event.
No, it's great to see that there's actually activities happening in a club like that. Being on the board of the West Side Association, we're really trying to activate Andrews Avenue and maybe have it be another option to Wilton Drive. I know it's a long way off, but it's very encouraging to see Chocolate City having this type of event. We want more of that. You have Chocolate City, you have Aroma Joe's, you have several other businesses, and I think hopefully in time we're going to see a lot more of that. So very exciting.
Very much.
And open mics are a great place to be introduced to talented folks that you might not even have been aware of before. So check it out.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Chocolate City's Open Mic Night on July 31st. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up health. Zero HIV Stigma Day hopes to improve conversations about those living with HIV. Launched in 2023 in honor of the late South African AIDS activist Prudence Ngubantu Mabel, the annual Zero HIV Stigma Day has become a global movement intended to educate communities about HIV and erase HIV stigma. The 2025 campaign theme, HIV Stigma Warriors, calls on everyone to commit to collaborative efforts to challenge stereotypes and promote an environment of dignity for people living with and affected by HIV. Stigma, which is defined as the devaluation, discrimination, or exclusion of individuals or groups based on perceived difference or moral failing, is not only a social issue, but also creates a healthcare issue. It continues to undermine public health goals, particularly when it intersects with other forms of systemic injustice such as racism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, and ableism. This intersectional stigma is experienced most acutely by individuals at the margins, such as the Black and Brown LGBTQ+ individuals, transgender individuals, sex workers, migrants, and others whom societal rejection is not just possibility, but a part of their everyday life. The global fight to end HIV as a public health threat by 2030 remains one of the most ambitious and noble undertakings in modern public health history. Only by fighting against stigma and educating communities about treatment and prevention can that goal be achieved. Well, for me, someone living with HIV shown me that stigma doesn't just silence. It separates us from support we need. Over time, I found that the strength not only in my own healing, but standing beside those who aren't ready to share their stories yet until they are. I'll continue to use my voice to speak truth, offer hope, and help build a community. Here in Broward County and across the country, where no one has to walk this path alone, I continue to honor those we've lost, uplift those still here, and fight stigma, not just on July 21st, but every single day of the year. And with that, it's very interesting. Stigma is a real thing, and you see it in so many things. It's not just HIV, but you see it in stigma is just someone's biases that have come into play really in an ugly way.
Yeah, and especially now, the last 8 years have been really tough. There's new isolationism in politics, and the current administration's allowance of bigotry and anger to rule the roost is just absolutely jackass, asinine, and that's being polite.
Right.
Well, I was unaware that such a day existed, and now that I know, I believe we should all be HIV stigma warriors.
Yeah, I agree.
Amen.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up the USA view. Does the American flag represent gay Americans? A surprising answer from Alexis Bittar new documentary. New film directed by Alexis Bittar and produced along with Oscar winner Bruce Cohen is examining how the flag can be reclaimed as a symbol of unity for all Americans, with a focus on the LGBTQ community. Reclaim the Flag is a 30-minute short documentary available on YouTube that features interviews with bold-faced names from Hollywood, politics, media, and fashion, including Lena Waithe, Gus Kenworthy, Jason Capehart, Mark Jacobs, Bill T. Jones, Jim Parsons, George Takei, Got Milk, Gigi Good, Cheyenne Jackson, Brandon Flynn, Harper Steele, Isaac Mizrazi, John Cameron, Mitchell Paul Taswell, Raquel Willis, Josh Wood, Jenna Lyons, and Justin Tranter. In the trailer, Lena Waithe makes the statement, quote, "Depending on how the United States feels about you will depend on how you feel about the flag," end quote. When discussing why he created the movie, Bittar said, quote, "Over the past decade, the American flag has increasingly become a symbol of division. I want to make a documentary about reclaiming it for all Americans by bringing together 50 leaders from the LGBTQ community to share their reflections and hopes. Speaking with a historically marginalized group offered a powerful lens for sharing a blueprint toward actionable steps to reclaim the flag."
Just think the only way for us to get back to a place where this can represent something warm and free and safe. I think safety is the biggest thing. There's going to have to be a lot more fight in us than there is right now.
How can we reclaim this? By, in the Gay Pride Parade, having this right alongside the Gay Pride flag. Having more of us, people are outspoken artists within the community, owning being an American, owning the American flag, putting it up. Like right now, I don't know if I would put an American flag up. That's messed up.
Well, a lot to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of different thoughts at this table and in our community. I know one of the things that I was raised is to always have an American flag, even after I identified myself as a gay man. And I've had people sometimes say, "Hey, do you have an American flag in front of your home?" And I think, I feel kind of bad. The last few years, I have not been flying one. And I think it's a very important message that we claim the American flag. It's ours. We're Americans. The right wing doesn't own it. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
So being a military person, the American flag has a completely different holistic meaning to who we are, who I am, and what it represents for me. And for me, as an LGBT, Catholic, Hispanic, minority, I feel as though the American flag does represent me because of the values that I grew up with. Now, the people in the office that are supposed to represent that flag or lead, with the flag as dependent, I may not fully trust or believe in them, but the flag I do believe does represent me. And I think Juji said it very good. Like, we have to fight. It's a warm, free, and safe sign, which is similar to serving in the military. Because when we look at that flag, it's safety, it's warm, the compassion of those folks back at home, and it's free. Like, literally, we do what we do overseas to make sure that you can do whatever you want globally. So the flag for me as a military member does have a different significance, but like Cheyenne said at the end, we have to show it. Each of us at this table are in a position of leadership, and we have a platform. And he talked about using that platform for good. So I think it's incumbent upon us leaders also that when we are going and saying, "Oh, we're going to have this mixture, we're going to have this event, where's the LGBT flag?" I think we all need to be cognizant and say, "Where's that American flag?"
I'm just a little taken back by this because I've never once needed to reclaim the flag. It's always been a part of me and my existence. I come from a military background. I come from an immigrant background. I come from a farming background. So I've never once missed it, but I've never felt the need, like the Republican Party does today, to use it as a tool to divide. I've always thought, just because I don't wear a flag on every inch of my body and flags pop out of my mouth the minute I start speaking, doesn't mean I'm not an American. I'll die for that flag or anybody's freedoms. It's just never, this story caught me off guard, but it does make sense considering the last 10 years of politics with this divide that has been so important for the Republican to divide and conquer rather than to, allow us all to celebrate and enjoy. But I do think that, the point was made that, anytime you see an LGBTQ flag, there should be an American flag up because we damn right deserve that flag. So it's an interesting perspective that I now have to think about that I didn't before.
Well, I have to say that watching this documentary, and I recommend that everybody see it, during the same time that I am now reading this book, which is American Scare, Florida's Hidden Cold War on Black and Queer Lives by Robert Fiesler. While living here in South Florida, this is the history that came before us that sort of set up what's happening right now. And all this happening under both DeSantis and Trump. It's really stirred up a lot of emotions. So I recommend this book. I recommend you watching the documentary. And I have to say, it was also interesting to see Jonathan Capehart in the documentary because he made news today by being one of the numerous award-winning journalists joining the exodus from Bezos' Washington Post. So good on you, Jonathan Capehart.
You know, I look at it and I go, and most of it at the table are around the same generation, you know, and I was always brought up to respect the flag, respect leadership, whether or not you agree with them or not, but respect the authority of the office, right? And I have a lot of family that's in the military, so it's kind of like you, I kind of grew up understanding and respecting that. Like you said, I've never thought of the flag like I have to reclaim it, but there's got to be a way that we can bring them together.
But it's also important, and you know, it's my perspective on politics today is that I have every right to be at the table as anybody else.
Right.
And I'm going to be listening to everybody else's comments. It doesn't mean I don't catcall you.
Right.
It doesn't mean I don't call you an asshole. But at the same point, I'm involved and I'm there at the table. What I'm not seeing, and maybe it's just because of my selective world, you know, because we all have, our world only goes so big. You know, I'm not seeing enough of the younger people coming to the table. I'm not seeing enough people from the LGBTQ community that aren't coming here with a specific, this is me.
Right.
I want to talk about where on that table is the spot that we all win, or the most of us win.
Right.
That is the most fair. I don't want to talk about this right here.
Right.
I want to talk about the collective conversation.
Good point.
And that's what I'm missing in this whole conversation is I'm not seeing the collective unison. I'm just seeing a bunch of people screaming, I want, I deserve. We all deserve. Now, where are we all winning? And I think that's where the conversation has to come back to the table for politics.
Right. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Jason Nunez, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. What is happening to Blue South Florida when LGBTQ crosswalks are removed? After U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy called rainbow crosswalks and other roadway decorations a dangerous distraction, writing in a letter to governors, quote, "Roads are for safety, not political messages or artwork," end quote. The city of Boynton Beach has painted over the rainbow crosswalk that has been in place at the intersection of East Ocean Boulevard and Southeast 1st Street since 2001. In a statement, the city said that they, quote, "removed the inclusionary painted intersection on the 100 block of East Ocean Avenue to ensure full compliance with state and federal transportation mandates and address safety concerns," end quote. Despite there being no evidence that rainbow crosswalks contribute to accidents, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a transportation law this year stating that, quote, "non-standard surface markings, signage, and signals that do not directly contribute to traffic safety or control can lead to distractions or misunderstandings, jeopardizing both driver and pedestrian safety," end quote. You know, I always wondered that if I were to cross that rainbow crosswalk, I would become gay. Like, this is, for me, this is one of the stupidest things, that it's another tactic, another, hey, look over here from our right-wing government. If you go to a Chinatown, specifically in DC, you have cultural signage on the floor painted because it's cultural for that community. Is that one going to get covered up next?
According to that, all artwork.
All artwork, because it's a distraction. Okay.
And what's ironic is that I know in years past I did a lot of grassroots organization funding for my neighborhood when I lived up in New York, and we got a mural painted on a specific crosswalk that was known to be a challenge and a danger, and there was a school close by. And I know for a bleeping fact that the senator at the time, which I had a good relationship with, proved or used statistics from the U.S. government saying that artwork on the crosswalks made people slow down because it was more obvious than streets and intersections that didn't have it. Being so close to a school, we did Sesame Street kind of stuff around and the accidents dwindled almost immediately. So now for the U.S. government to use that is just
call it a distraction.
It's just absolutely jackass. So my suggestion is that now every gay neighborhood or every gay area, paint every freaking wall, string lights across the streets, put up rainbows wherever you can, fly that flag big and tall with the American flag next to it. You know, do whatever we can. Can't do the road? Then make it the street sign. Right. Make it the side of the building. Make it, you know, as Disneyland as we have to, if that's what it takes.
Well, in Chicago, like for example, the Puerto Rican neighborhood has an arch over it with the flag, and it's a beautiful sculpture. Chinatown also has an arch. Do the arch if you don't want to mess with the streets. And by the way, everything you need to know about Sean freaking Duffy and his broodmare, I mean wife, Rachel, can be seen by watching season 3, that's the San Francisco season featuring Pedro Zamora, and season 6 of The Real World on MTV. Anything you need to know about this flotsam and jetsam, you can find it right there.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that, like you said, buddy, I was thinking buildings, right? Paint the buildings in. Let's forget about this crosswalk. Let's just get the buildings painted. Get some companies to fund it, you know, let's raise funds to do it and pay a building for, you know, to allow us to do it type of a thing. But then I'm thinking, because they specifically said artwork or designs or things like that, and I'm thinking, how many of these places are going up where we're putting city seals stamped into the concrete that's like a dimensional aspect to the wall? That's artwork in itself too, right? I mean,
well, and you look at Wilton Manors, you know, being involved in some of the civic activities and traffic calming. You know, we have bike lanes that are being painted throughout the city, or some that have existed for a while, in green to designate those areas. Right. We have stamped intersections that are raised to slow traffic. What's the real big difference other than hypocrisy and hatred?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be how they define the word artwork. So they're going to weasel out of it. You know they are.
Well, it's architectural when you stamp an intersection and paint it, you know, a nice rosy red.
Right.
You know?
But I'm not going to worry about it because we're just going to beautify the rest of the damn neighborhood.
Right.
And they can keep their damn streets as black and white as they want.
Absolutely.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA view. Trump administration cuts grants that benefit LGBTQ programs. A Homeland Security official told Fox News on Thursday that the department, run by Kristi Noem, was canceling funding to the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships because of ideology. DHS Assistant Secretary Trish McLaughlin said in the interview, quote, "These cancellations reflect DHS's commitment to fiscal responsibility and national security. By eliminating wasteful and ideologically driven programs, we are redirecting resources to initiatives that uphold American values, respect the rule of law, and effectively combat terrorism and violence," end quote. The Department of Homeland characterized the cuts as supporting and mentoring youth advocates and leaders group, which promoted radical gender ideology in K-12 schools, K-12 schools, targeting students as young as kindergartners and flagging parental concerns as risks. Centerlink, a nonprofit focused on LGBTQ issues, not terrorism prevention. Eradicate Hate Global Summit, a DEI organization focused on silencing ideological opposition. The United States Esports Association, which targeted gamers with woke content under the pretext of violence prevention. The One World Strong program, which labeled traditional male behaviors as extremist and stigmatizing young males. The Institute for Strategic Dialogue and Strong Cities Network, which promoted biased anti-extremism initiatives, LGBTQ plus propaganda and prioritized radical groups over broader community concerns. Well, the bad news just keeps on coming. Let's be honest, this has nothing to do with fiscal responsibility or national security. It has everything to do with fulfilling the Heritage Foundation's dream of a Christian, queer-free America. America! Go away, Heritage Foundation. Just fuck off. Thank you.
Well, they're correct. It is about ideology, their ideology.
course.
It's not about anybody else's ideology. And it is about Christian white nationalists. So, you know, we're just going to have to fight back. And I'd like to talk to Christy about her spending budget on her costume changes and her travel plans
Her
around the world.
plastic surgery alone.
Well, and her private jet. So, you know, we can talk about fiscal responsibility, but she's going to have to give up a little few things.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Buddy Frey, and let's queer up drag culture. Beloved Florida queen wins RuPaul's Drag Race Allstars. RuPaul's Drag Race Allstars Season 10 has come to an end, and one queen reigns supreme. The final episode brought a twist as the remaining queens, Aja Basco, Daya Betty, Ginger Minge, Irene the Alien, Gorgeous, and Linda B. Collins as a wildcard queen was brought into the mix. It was none other than Season 14 favorite Carrie Colby. Then the queens were introduced to another twist in a segment called Rate a Queen, where the contestants had to rate their competition based on who their biggest lip sync competitor would be. After a tournament that saw all the queens facing off against each other, the final challenge came down between Ginger Minge and Gorgeous. After the glitter settled, the final winner revealed was RuPaul revealed as none other than Central Florida icon Ginger Minge. After winning on her fourth run through the Drag Race workroom, everyone at Queer News Tonight would like to wish Ginger a heartfelt congratulations. I know I butchered a few names there, and I apologize, ladies, but you all deserve to win because you were all wonderful competition. But Ginger, she won, and Florida is very proud of her.
That's right.
Finally, some good Florida news, right?
Yeah.
Another star on the national stage from Florida,
Exactly.
despite all the other political rhetoric that's going
Well,
on.
despite the odds, you know, it's great.
And those gowns, I'm sorry, but those gowns.
Are you jealous?
Very much so. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Von Biggs, and I will wish you a wonderful evening on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Larry Farver, Jason Nunez, Gregg Shapiro, and Buddy Frey. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we hope you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, be transformative, and queer. Good night.
Good night.